Welcome to the Quiet Minds Counseling series on mental health concepts explained. In each episode, we'll take a closer look at important concepts from psychology and counseling, break it down into plain language, and explore how you can apply it in your own life. Today, we're talking about one of the most misunderstood concepts in mental health, radical acceptance. We'll talk about what it really means, what it doesn't mean, and how accepting reality can help us respond to difficult situations more effectively. You might have heard someone say, "You just need to accept this." And if you've experienced something painful, unfair, traumatic, or completely outside of your control, that advice can sound almost insulting. Because accepting something can feel like you're saying it was okay, but that's not what radical acceptance means. Radical acceptance is not approving of something, it's not agreeing with something, and it's definitely not giving up. So in this video, I want to explain what radical acceptance actually does mean, why it's so difficult, what keeps us stuck when we resist reality, and how you can begin practicing it. Let's start with one of the most important distinctions. Radical acceptance does not mean you approve of what happened. It doesn't mean you agree with it. It doesn't mean you have to forgive someone, and it doesn't mean you have to stop protecting yourself. It doesn't mean that you have to pretend that you're not hurt. You can accept that someone treated you badly and still set a boundary with that person. You can accept that something happened and still believe what happened was wrong. You can accept a painful reality and still work very hard to change your future. So if acceptance doesn't mean approving of something, what does it actually mean? At its very simplest, radical acceptance means acknowledging reality as it is, not as you wish it were, not as you think it should have been, not as you hope it will become, as it actually is. The word radical is important. Radical acceptance means accepting reality completely, rather than continuing to fight against the parts of reality that you might not like. And this is where radical acceptance becomes difficult. Here's what happens. Something painful occurs and our mind naturally reacts. We might feel sadness or anger, maybe fear, disappointment, or grief. But then our minds can add another layer. This shouldn't have happened. I can't believe this happened to me. This isn't fair. Things were supposed to turn out differently. The problem isn't that you're having an emotional reaction. Those emotions are completely normal. The additional struggle comes from continuing to fight against the reality that the event has already happened. Think about it as two layers. The first layer is the pain itself: loss, disappointment, grief, fear, anger, sadness. And the second layer is the resistance we add to the pain. This shouldn't be happening. It can't be true. I can't accept this. Radical acceptance doesn't necessarily eliminate the first layer. What it can do is help us to stop adding additional struggle to a situation that we cannot change. Let's make this really practical. Imagine that you apply for a promotion at work and someone else gets it. Well, you might feel disappointed and maybe even angry. You might even believe the decision was unfair, and you might even be right. Radical acceptance doesn't require you to change those feelings. Instead, acceptance might sound like this: I didn't get a promotion, and I don't like that. I'm disappointed, and I think the decision was unfair, but this is what happened. What am I going to do next? Notice the difference. You're not saying I'm happy about this, and you're not saying they were right. You're simply acknowledging reality. And once you acknowledge reality, you can start deciding what to do with it. Now, this is one of my favorite ways to think about radical acceptance. Acceptance gives you a starting point. If I refuse to acknowledge where I am, it's very difficult to decide where I want to go. Think about a GPS. If the GPS doesn't know where you currently are, it can't give you an accurate route to where you want to go. Acceptance is similar. It says, this is where I am. Now we can decide where to go from here. And that leads to another important distinction. Acceptance is not passivity. Giving up says there's nothing I can do. Radical acceptance says there are things I can't change, and there are things that I can. I'm going to stop spending all my energy fighting the things I can't change, and I'm going to focus on what I can do next. That's an important difference. Acceptance doesn't mean you stop taking action. It means your actions are based on reality rather than a constant attempt to make reality something it isn't. What you can and cannot control. This is where radical acceptance connects with the idea of control. You cannot control what already happened. You cannot control another person's choices. You can't control another person's feelings, and you cannot guarantee every outcome. But you can influence your response. You can set boundaries. You can make choices. You can change your behavior, and you can decide what to do next. And you can decide how you're going to take care of yourself. Radical acceptance helps redirect our attention toward the part of the situation where we actually have influence. So if acceptance can be so helpful, why is it so difficult? Because sometimes acceptance can feel like giving up hope. We may think, if I accept this, I'm giving up. Or if I stop fighting this, it means I don't care anymore. But acceptance doesn't erase your values. It doesn't erase your hopes, and it doesn't mean you can't work towards something different. It simply means you're no longer requiring reality to be different before you're willing to move forward. So what does actually practicing acceptance sound like? Try using a statement like this. I don't like this. I didn't choose this. But this is what's happening. What can I do next? Notice what isn't required here. You don't have to say, I'm okay with this. You don't have to say, this is fair. You don't have to say, I wanted this. You're simply acknowledging this is what is happening, and then you're asking, what can I do next? If you want to practice radical acceptance, start with these 5 steps. Number 1, notice the reality and ask yourself, what actually happened? Number 2, notice the resistance. Ask, what am I telling myself should be different? Number 3, separate the pain from resistance. What actually hurts? And what am I adding to the pain by continuing to fight against reality? Number 4, accept reality. This is what's happening. Number 5, choose your next action. What can I do from here? The last question is important. Radical acceptance isn't supposed